Hey girl, hey, it's your birth bestie, Nurse Rini, and I'm here to talk about this young lady right here. Yesterday would have been her birthday. She would have been 31 years old. Well, she is 31 years old because she's still alive on life support. So let's talk about it. So I'm going to read this article from NPR about Miss Smith. Does Georgia's fetal personhood law mean a pregnant woman must stay on life support? By the time she ended up at a Georgia hospital with emergency complications, 30-year-old Atlanta nurse Adriana Smith was almost 9 weeks pregnant. Her condition, which included multiple blood clots, deteriorated as doctors tried to save her life, Smith's mother, April, told Atlanta TV station. They did a CT scan and she had blood clots all in her head. Gosh. So they asked me if they could do a procedure to relieve them, and I said yes. And then they called me back and said they couldn't do it. She said doctors declared Smith brain dead and put her on life support without consulting her. It's torture for me, Newkirk said. I come here and I see my daughter breathing by the ventilator, but she's not there. That was more than 3 months ago. Smith is still pregnant. And I'm not saying that we would have chose to terminate her pregnancy, Newkirk said, but what I am saying is we should have had a choice. Except for an emailed statement, Emory Healthcare isn't commenting on the case. Emory Healthcare uses consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individualized treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's abortion laws and all other applicable laws, the statement said. Our top priorities continue to be the safety and well-being of the patients we serve. Georgia's law, HB 481, also known as the Life Act, passed in 2019 and went into effect shortly after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade with its Dobbs ruling on June 24, 2022. The law bans abortions after the point at which an ultrasound can detect cardiac activity in an embryo. Typically, this is about 6 weeks into pregnancy. It also gives Smith's fetus the same rights as a person. The law says unborn children are a class of living, distinct persons and explains that the state of Georgia recognizes the benefits of providing full legal recognition to an unborn child. What's interesting about this is that Adriana is also a full person, and no one's taking that into consideration, it sounds like. It's unfortunate. So, did fetal personhood mean life support was required, is the question. 20 states now ban abortion at or before 18 weeks gestation. 13 of those have a near total ban on all abortions with very limited exceptions, according to the Guttmacher Institute, a nonpartisan research group that supports abortion rights. Like Georgia, some of these states built their abortion restrictions around the legal concept of personhood, thus conferring legal rights and protections on an embryo or fetus during pregnancy. Smith's case represents a major test of how this type of law will be applied in certain medical situations. Despite being unfiled in their opposition to abortion, conservatives and politicians do not always agree on the scope of the law in cases like Smith's. For example, Georgia's Republican, okay, blah, 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 blah. There is nothing in the Life Act that requires medical professionals to keep a woman on life support after brain death. Removing life support is not an action with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy. But Republican Georgia State Senator who authored the Life Act, of course, it's a man. Gosh. He says, I think it's completely appropriate that the hospital do what they can to save the life of the child. I think this is an unusual circumstance, but I think it highlights the value of an innocent human life. I think the hospital is acting appropriately. So what do you guys think about this situation? Now she must be 21-ish weeks along if she was 9 weeks when she came in, and it's been 3 months since she came in. So the baby's still not at viability yet. But it's pretty much well known that whatever happens to mom kind of happens to baby inevitably, right? It's interesting because I feel like they want to give the fetus personhood, which I get it, right? In theory, right? I get it. But they're taking away the personhood of, Adriana. The fetus gets to live, but why isn't it an option for Adriana to be able to pass peacefully if that's what her family wants for her, or if that's what she would have wanted? And that's the other thing. What if she had had an advance directive that said, do not put me on life support? What would have happened then? Because the argument here is, right, like taking her off of the ventilator, thus taking her off of life support, is the intention is to remove her and let her pass. It is not the intention to, you know, kill the baby, or whatever like that. So it's not like you're trying to have an abortion. You are letting mom pass. And then subsequently what would have happened is that baby would have passed, because that's just naturally what happened. But this is very interesting. It's giving very much Handmaid's Tale. It's given, we are going to, there was an episode where the woman was like unconscious and she was pregnant, and they were like super duper concerned about the baby. So this is very much like that situation. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that the family should have the final say? Do you think they should have had the final say, but now that she's way further along, 3 months further than she was when she came in, that now it's like, you got to let the baby live? Like, what are you guys thinking about this whole situation? Make sure you like, comment, follow, and share.